Yeah, for sure. So we talked a little bit about the tweet that started this all yesterday when we were live. Jimmy Dore taking a swipe at Sabby Sabs over her interview with Jill Stein. Sabby, seems for all my criticisms and issues I have with her content, she does genuinely seem to be invested in the third party movement, and she does genuinely seem to want to help out the campaigns of Jill Stein and Cornel West. Like, it seems like that's what her goal is, and I think that, from her perspective, that also was Jimmy Dore's goal for a while, right? So it seems like they would be on the same page. And given the fact that her channel, as well as the entirety of RBN, has kind of just been like a Jimmy Dore acolyte channel, you wouldn't really think that this would be the straw that broke the camel's back, the kind of, the issue that ended up resulting in this sort of a fissure between Dore and this crowd. But as he says, this is now reaching official clown show status. First, she brought on Dow to Cornell's campaign. Then, when challenged on hiring him, she didn't know how much, or sorry, she
She
didn't
said she
know
didn't know
much.
much.
Yeah, she didn't. She said she didn't know much about him. Now she says she's known and worked with Dow for years, and he's also been working with the Green Party for years while they lost ballot access in 20 states. Too bad the interviewer let all these obvious contradictions slide right by. Could have been a worthwhile news segment. So, in typical Jimmy Dore fashion, it got the pettiest shit of all time. An underhanded kind of diss at Sabby
Oh,
here
watch
without
yourself. A warning.
exactly. Could have been a worthwhile news segment. So, given the fact that Jimmy has been pretty good friends with Sabby, she's been on his show multiple times. That definitely kind of came out of nowhere, and I was surprised to see that. Now, someone else said that Sabby had kind of subtweeted Jimmy Dore recently on her own show, said a comment that some people interpreted was about Jimmy and the fact that, he wasn't supporting third party candidates like he
Uh-oh.
had in the past or something like that. So some people think that Jimmy might have actually been kind of responding to a comment that people interpreted to have been about him on her show, even though he wasn't actually named. So again, supreme pettiness from Jimmy here, who again, not even that long ago was chastising everyone else for not being pro Green Party enough, for not being pro third party enough. Remember, this is the guy that proudly championed Jill Stein in 2016 and then shamed everyone who voted for Hillary Clinton instead, including Bernie Sanders and basically everyone else, right? But now, because of this weird drama between him and Cornel West and Peter Dow, it's no longer cool to be pro Green Party if you're part of the Jimmy
They're
Dore.
ops.
Yeah, now they're ops. So if you're part of the Jimmy Dore crowd, if you're part of the RBN, Do Dissidents, Hardlands Media, you guys know the channels, all the Jimmy Dore dick sucker channels. Now you have to start regurgitating that line too. That no, the Green Party is not a worthy vessel for revolutionary politics or whatever. They're actually all ops. Peter Dow's an op, Jill Stein's an op, and I guess Donald Trump is the real revolutionary option now. I'm guessing that's where this is all going, as I've been
Yeah.
guessing for a while.
Yeah, one of my criminally underrated tweets, shame on all of you, was when I made the point that Jimmy acts as like the head of a fucking human centipede, right? And then it's just a race to the bottom to see who can get to like the front of the line. So you're like, getting, as close to the worm's ass as it were. So you got the guys at the gray zone that are running in there, and then anybody that is at RBN was running in there, just getting in the chain link. You know what I mean? Just fucking regurgitating the line. At the end, it goes all the way out to like the fucking, do dissident fellows, poor bastards. Anyway, that's not an accident, right? That's what Jimmy mandates, right? And he'll give you access to his show, and he'll give you access to his sycophantic audience, and you can feed off of his crumbs. And there's a lot of them who are willing to super chat you. And not only do they super chat you, they tell you that you're the fucking only person that's speaking truth to power, and oh, we can only trust you. It's very much like a cult leader kind of a relationship with these people. It's very sycophantic. It's very like, without any scrutiny for what's being said. It's just immediate belief. It's everything is taken at face value, right? And everything is taken at as either pro Jimmy or anti Jimmy. If it's what Jimmy says, that's pro Jimmy. If it's not what Jimmy says, you're anti Jimmy. You're smearing Jimmy. You're coming for Jimmy. Or you're attacking him, you're being in bad faith when obviously he's the chieftain of bad faith. But anyway, he comes in here and he gives Sabby the opportunity to apologize, to come out here and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Jimmy. Oh, I should have never wronged you. Like, please don't take away your audience. Like, I did, you know what? You're right. I should have pushed back more. Like, please forgive me, Jimmy." And to Sabby's credit, I don't see her doing that. But I also don't see her telling him to eat a fucking bag of dicks and go fuck himself, which is what anybody should tell Jimmy in this situation. But now she's starting to learn, like, she doesn't have a choice. She has to parrot the exact line, or he's going to start to tighten and tighten and tighten, and then eventually you're just going to get cast out to sea.
Yep. And this is what happens when you're one of these Jimmy Dore dick sucker channels, right? Like, as long as you're agreeing with Jimmy, as long as you're on the same page, it's great. It feels wonderful because, he's giving you access to his audience. He's inviting you on his show, as he has done with the RBN crew multiple times. It's a huge, boost for their career, right? So it feels great. But then all of a sudden here, they're at this crossroads, right? Where they're being forced to choose. Jimmy Dore is forcing them to choose between their principles, which is supporting the Green Party and third party politics, or supporting him. He's literally, it's a Sophie's choice situation. He's saying either sacrifice your principled support of Jill Stein and the Green Party on the altar of my narcissism, or I'm going to cut you off. It's done. It's over. That's what's happening. And if you need it to be more clear, let's take a look at the next exchange, because this was pretty milquetoast, all things considered. But Rome, another one of the RBN members, jumped in here. And now, I've criticized Rome. I've called him unhinged multiple times, but I do have to say that I respect Rome for jumping in here to defend Sabby when I didn't see any of the other RBM homies doing that. They all stayed silent from what I saw. Rome is the only one that had the balls to jump in here and call out this piece of shit, Jimmy Dore. He says, "Jimmy, I know you're used to the internet revolving around you, but this isn't about you. I have a question. Why do you go harder against third parties than you do against your Zionist buddy that said to your face the Palestinian people were criminals? You complain about ballot access, but said nothing when Dr. West was a part of MPP, your friend's party, with no ballot access. It seems you're just after parties that can actually make a difference. And this is coming from a non-voter. I see you,
bro."
And again, that's pretty intense.
Ate him up.
Yep. Rome came in clutch there with an absolute truth. I especially appreciate his point about Jimmy's complete silence when Dr. West was a part of the Movement for a People's Party. You'll remember that Jimmy Dore had no criticisms of that. He had nothing to say about ballot access when Dr. West declared his candidacy with Nick Brana's People's Party. Jimmy Dore only had positive things to say about that. But then when he leaves the Green Party to go independent, all of a sudden Jimmy Dore becomes the world's biggest ballot access, enthusiast, right? All of a sudden it's like, how could Cornel West ever, conceivably leave the Green Party and sacrifice this ballot access when, again, he never had anything to say about it.
And also didn't want anybody to run in the Democratic Party. Hello, that was the primary argument of fucking trying to take over the Democratic Party, was ballot access. Now you're fucking married to ballot access. Now you sound like Bosch.
Yep. And also I really appreciate Rome's point that this isn't about you, Jimmy. I kind of, have echoed this point when we were talking about Peter Dow recently. Peter Dow keeps tweeting and feeding the trolls.
Main character syndrome.
Yeah, acting like he's the main character of the third party movement. It's like, dude, I get that you feel aggrieved. I get that, you feel like people are saying things about you that aren't true right now, but stop making this drama the central event of the third party movement. Like, this isn't productive in any way. And the same exact thing could be said about Jimmy Dore, who, again, once not that long ago claimed to be the biggest third party supporter on the planet, right? Everyone who wasn't as enthusiastic about voting green as Jimmy Dore was a fucking shit lib and a sheep herder and a sellout. But now all of a sudden he's calling out the people who are trying to, support the Green Party and just interview people like Dr. Stein. Not even literally just did an interview. That's all that happened. I'm not a big fan of Sabby's show, but she did nothing wrong by interviewing Jill Stein. I would love to interview Jill Stein. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing wrong with doing that, but that's just how petty Jimmy is. Anyway, Jimmy responds here. Now things are getting ugly, right? He was keeping it relatively classy, all things considered. We are talking about Jimmy Dore here.
Yes.
But now the knives are about to come out. He responds to Rome and says, that's not even close to being true. I got him to admit every human rights organization says Israel is an apartheid state, then show him videos of Israel committing war crimes, then told him it was a lie that Israel didn't target civilians because I coveted it on my show many times. All right, he's drunk. When they targeted schools and hospitals and neighborhoods. I then got him to agree to an interview with Max Blumenthal, who is an expert on the topic.
That never
So
happened.
thanks. Yeah, which never happened. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to disabuse you of that stupid smear you just repeated. Do better. So of course he didn't address the thing about MPP. He basically is just gaslighting
Also,
now.
none of this really happened on air. He was totally subservient. He was a huge wimp. He let RFK steamroll right over him, just like he always does whenever there's anybody that comes on his show that he wants to preserve access to, that he wants to preserve his connection to the right wing and his audience to see him as somebody with right wing sympathies. That's why he's been going on and on about how it's like fucking fascism that the United States is going after Donald Trump. And, oh, like, you know, it's so sad for what's like, look at what's happening to Donald Trump. They're persecuting him. Meanwhile, if you trap Jimmy one-on-one, like, obviously you could debate him into an oblivion about anything that he talks about because he's just fucking repeating whatever he thinks his stupid right-wing audience wants to hear.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. As you said, Zach, it was a total softball interview. Technically, yeah, he was like, oh, I've heard from my friend Max that Israel's kind of bad, but he let RFK stomp all over
He said
him.
multiple times in that interview, where are you telling him, I'm not an expert on this, guys. I'm not an expert on this thing I pretend to be an expert on whenever I'm just by myself on my show reading my fucking lines up here that I never looked at before I got here. And I've absolutely, like, I mean, I swear, I would, Jimmy would never let us interview him again because he knows that we would never fucking let up on anything and that we would make it extremely hard for him and his fucking worm ass to wiggle out of any of our questions. And he would have a fucking internet fucking connection issue, or he would just be like, I'm not going to answer these smears. Wow. Like, when we did try and have him back on after we had our massive falling out, he acted like he was going to be boosting us and that we just said a bunch of smears about him. Like, we had a Twitter or a DM exchange, if you will, guys, that wasn't friendly. But anyway.
Yeah, exactly. We were like, hey, we can hash this out. You know, it's not like this has to end this way. We can just have a civil conversation. He's like, oh, so first you smear me and now you just want to have me on your show to capitalize on your dishonest, bad faith tactics. It's like, Jesus Christ, bro. And you're seeing this in real time again. So let's keep going.
I would
here.
also like to just say that the Vanguard did try and warn the Revolutionary Blackout Network. We did say, hey guys, this is going to happen. You know, this is what's happening. They knew all along. They were playing with fire as a network, and that's why you've heard not shit from Nick Cruz over there, who definitely wants to make sure that he can still fucking shore up his relationship with Jimmy once this is all over. Remember, why did you guys even do that? I already got my sound bites. Guys. I already got everything I needed to go after her. Why'd you do that? Like, Nick is not after anything like serious. He's just trying to build up his media career. He's after attention.
Oh, 100%, 100%. Which again is why he's not defending Sabby. Meanwhile, if any other commentator on the left had dissed any of his comrades or colleagues, it would have been all the vitriol and fire in the world. But Jimmy Dore, somehow, I guess Nick was busy last night. I'm sure he was out ice skating, you know.
No, he was out rallying for the people, bro. He was out sowing the seeds for a general strike, bro.
Right. Oh God. So yeah, let's
Some
let's
of
go
us
on.
don't live on the internet, Gavin.
Let's see here. Also, this was a good tweet from Neoliberal Tears, who's an account that posts a lot of clips on Twitter. They responded to Dore here, calling out Sabby, and accurately said, "You got room to talk. Your interview with RFK was a fucking tongue bath. I don't know enough to push back on the genocidal shit you're saying. Let's talk about frequencies and Carl Jung for an hour, Mr. Daddy. Thank you for retweeting my stand-up special. # grim job." Ooh.
Brutal, but so accurate, so real. Shout out to Neoliberal Tears.
Yeah, 100%. I think that account may have antagonized us a few times.
I'm sure they
Twitter,
hate us too, but I'm just saying, when you're right, you're right.
Exactly. We're giving credit where credit is due.
Yeah, thing on the train yesterday that was based. Fuck, what was that? Chris Coons, you know, fucking Sometimes when you're right, you're right, you know?
And then he just posts the same fucking shit he said to Rome, this like copy paste he has.
Wait, is that the same? Wait, is that 2 separate tweets?
Yeah, it's the same shit. He just copy and pasted his response to
Wow.
Neil.
That's deranged. He's definitely, yeah. Jimmy's not quick. As a stand-up, you would take the opportunity to try and fillet somebody differently and use a different joke to him. He doesn't have any jokes. He doesn't have any talent. He doesn't have any understanding of what's going on around him 99% of the time until somebody shoves a fucking article in front of him and he's like,
there's a conspiracy in the Democratic Party, and it's infected the Green Party now, and Peter Dow is a fake insurgent from the CIA.
and you're just like, well, do you have any evidence for that?
Look at him. He dropped out of the race.
So this man quitting his job is evidence of CIA.
Wow, you're willingly blind.
This is literally what people are watching. It is honestly, it's shocking to me that there are people on earth that are this fucking retarded, but here they are. They just want to be fed fucking like it's like the cognitive equivalent of the people in Wall-E that are just on their chairs getting fed like fucking candy and popcorn and soda, but the fucking just like informational drivel equivalent. It is mind-boggling. I mean, oof, boy. I could say some really inappropriate things right now, but I'm going to bite my tongue.
All right, so now we're going to look at the craziest tweet yet. So Rome replies to Jimmy's copy-pasted response about disabusing him of this libelous smear or whatever the hell he said. Rome quote tweets that and says, and even if that's true, why does every interview has to be done in your style? It's so much more to talk about than Peter and Dr. West. Your complaints are valid, by the way, but we definitely don't see that same Jimmy for MPP or Rob. The conversation is about the presidency and Jill. Plus, if you can look past RFK being a literal Zionist, I'm sure you can get over Peter. Both of them have done the IDF dirty work before. So, and that is once again a pretty good point. It's like Jimmy Dore always overlooks the issues and flaws with his buddies, people like Nick Brana from MPP, and then for a while RFK. I know he's technically been going harder on RFK recently. RFK has just been saying stuff that's indefensible on Israel, but for the longest time, Jimmy was totally putting on the kids' gloves. He was totally defending RFK, retweeting him constantly, especially that stupid RFK tweet where he retweets his special.
Day.
Yeah, every day. So yeah, Rome once again 100% on point. He looked past RFK being a literal Zionist for a long time until it just became indefensible. But then when it comes to people like Dr. West or Jill Stein now, he finds one little thing, one little issue, and then now no one ever can support that person anymore because Jimmy Dore found one issue, one pet concern that's just so grave that no one in his orbit is allowed to support those people now. But again, Jimmy gets to support Tulsi Gabbard, yada, yada, yada. It's so fucking hypocritical.
Yeah, absolutely. Holy shit, we are getting Jimmy trolls in here. I get to ban people again today. Goodbye. If you look like a fucking 45-year-old that's taking their first selfie in 2008 in your profile picture, I can typically tell that you've watched the Jimmy Dore show. If you look like a man that got divorced when he was 38 years old and doesn't get to see his kids on the weekend, that's how I can pretty much tell that you're a Jimmy Dore fan.
Oh god. So let's see the crazy shit though. I still can't believe Jimmy posted this. He says, "That's a horrible way of apologizing for smearing me with lies and slander. That's 2 strikes.
The seal clap.
I can feel another one coming. Ooh, 2 strikes. I can feel what are you, YouTube? Like, what the fuck is going on, bro?" He's not even trying to hide what's going on here. I'll throw up my tweet from yesterday. I posted that screenshot and says, Jimmy doesn't even try to hide the transactional nature of his relationship with the sycophant podcasters. He's literally threatening him. He's saying, you fuck up one more time, you diss me one more time, and it's over. I'm cutting you off. Is that not what's happening? I think
he's talking about the whole network too, right? Like, I think this is what it is. It's like, come get your guy over here because he's about to ruin it for all of you. Your bridge is about to be burned. Hey, I've got, a bunch of fucking dudes from the trailer park that'll come on my fucking podcast. All I have to do is give them a crack pipe and a little bit of Ritalin. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'll be great. Oh, don't worry, pal. Come over here. You know, I gotta read this and tell everybody I'm a fucking genius. Yeah, okay, Grandpa. Sure. No, that's what he does. There's a reason he just lures you into a garage instead of a fucking minivan. Anyway. Oh, the reverse, engineer. When you're a kid, they get you with candy. When you're a grown man, when you're a grown up that's out of the fucking geriatric ward, they get you with Fox News talking points. It's a bait and switch, It's just a different way of poaching the most vulnerable off the streets. It's really sad, but here it is. This is America. Anyway, yeah, Jimmy knows that his fellow podcasters over at RBN are shitting their pants right now because Rome has a backbone, and he's just like, what the fuck is the matter with you? He's going to say what he thinks. And that's the one thing I respect about Rome, is that he is not going to bite his tongue. He's going to come out here and he's going to be like, fuck you. Like Rome was the only one that did have the balls to tell Jimmy to go fuck himself, basically, right? The only one that did have the balls to be like, no, fuck you. And that's why Rome's the only one I respect. Dude actually has a backbone. I thought that the way that he treated Marianne was like totally uncool, but at least I can respect the fact that this guy is legitimate, that he's out here saying what he believes, and he's also on the ground doing shit. In Detroit. So I think that's why he just doesn't have the patience for this shit. He's just like, bro, I'm not playing your stupid fucking game anymore. You don't own me. You can't control what I'm going to say on the internet, and don't try and fucking extort me or blackmail me or do anything like that to fucking, act like you're going to cripple my audience if I don't go along with everything that you say. And the, network that I am a member of doesn't go apart with what you say. However, unfortunately for Rome, I don't think that the crew is with him on this one. I think everybody's going to bite their tongue and go back to kissing Jimmy's ass and try and, bury the hatchet, which is just humiliating for them. But
oh yeah, they're such fucking cucks, and I think they're streaming either today or right now, and they're not even talking about this. They're just talking about like third parties and Chris Coons and completely ignoring the elephant in the room. When again, any other commentator with any sort of a high profile, if that person came after any of them, they would have streamed about it for 3 days straight. You know what I'm saying? But now, suspiciously, not much to say about Jimmy Dore threatening your colleague and supposed friend over here, asking him to apologize. Also, Zach, imagine we're beefing with literally anyone on YouTube, the usual suspects, the people that we usually get into it with. Imagine they say something to you that you might not feel is 100% accurate about you, but clearly, it's just a debate setting. People are going back and forth. Emotions are a little bit high. Can you imagine asking for a fucking apology for something that, like, I don't know, Keffels or Dylan Burns or something like said to us? Like, unless they called you a child molester or like something that's just
even
obviously
then, it's just
slanderous.
Like, yeah, it's like, what do you think this is, pal? Like, who do you think you are? Like,
right.
Fuck you. That's my apology.
Right. Like, no, you don't get an apology. Even if you do feel like, oh, my interview with RFK wasn't a softball and Rome says it was. Okay, well, that's his opinion. He thinks it was a softball. You clearly feel like you did a good job. Whatever. He doesn't owe you a fucking apology. He didn't lie about you. He has an opinion that's different than yours. He saw your interview in a different way than you did. But no one owes you a goddamn apology, Jimmy. That's the most disgusting thing about this perverted relationship that he builds with these sycophant podcasters. It's so toxic and abusive. And again, he's literally asking them to sacrifice their political principles at the altar of his fucking ego. He wants them to abandon the Green Party and the third party movement so that they can instead just echo his dumb shit talking points about how Peter Dow and Jill Stein are ops and how I guess we should support Donald Trump instead.